Introducing Crean McBride, how to become a winner in 11 minutes or less at any age. A free bird. A caged bird sings for freedom, and if suddenly uncaged, it hangs around restrained by fear. Now singing for security and finding it back inside the cage. But the wild bird hears the call, wreaks havoc, creates opportunity to take liberty. No longer bound by the cage, it flies away, free. I am the #1 track dad. Every track dad feels that way. But I am my daughter Crean's biggest fan. My wife and I have logged countless hours taking her to practice, studying film, and studying her. I have a master's degree in leadership and management and years as a law enforcement sergeant and over 20 years as a gospel minister. I have taught numerous leaders, men and women, young and old, how to develop a winning attitude. I observed the attitude change the time they get their first win and the exhilaration that compel them to seek greater achievements. I have observed attitude changes in practice, even before a single victory has occurred. Some people have the heart of a champion and endure even in the midst of defeat. We all have seen champion athletes, astute businessmen, or military leaders who go into other successful endeavors long after their planned days and careers are over. On the other hand, many others leave a successful career, then fail at everything else. And the question I've asked myself, are the principles for winning the same at any age, at all levels, and in any endeavor? I remember when I was a kid trying to carve out a victory and somehow get my name printed in the local newspaper. It did not matter to me whether it was in sports, fine arts, or academics. In sports, I was never the star athlete, but I always believed I was a winner. I had a winning attitude, parents who supported me, and good coaching. At every level, individuals with raw, uncut talent need good supporters. Supporters that make it their mission to develop their talent. A motivator who yells at them from the other side of the stadium, or encourage them to run faster, make another sales pitch, or just help them to keep going. However, ultimately, it is the individual's responsibility to become their own motivator and hear their own voice telling them to keep going. When I was in middle school, every day at the beginning of track practice, we had to do a 3-mile run through the town instead of doing it on the track. We all would start out running together. My cousin Jarvis Johnson and I, my best friend Samuel Riley, my good friend Reggie Scott, my best bud Joe Williams, and Kevin Alexander, great friend, and Cedric Utley, just to name a few. By the time we made it to the railroad tracks, about 200 meters of running, the group started to pull away from me. I could see them make it to the stop sign and across the street 400 meters ahead as I inched my way forward. When I made it to Waverly Village, I could no longer see the group. There were always some bystander sitting at their front door to criticize and make fun of me. I heard somebody say, "They left you. You better stop eating so much." After enduring about 100 meters of this ridicule and the jokes, the next 800 meters were dead silence. No houses, no one around, just me, all alone. It is at this point that I became self-aware. I said to myself, "Quit. They left you. but the fire deep within me said, keep going. As I neared Billy Sykes' house, some of the original group passed me on their way back. Focus. I did not make eye contact. And I finally made it to the big tree where Coach was waiting. For me, Coach Gillum was that coach. He said, good job. Keep pushing. Let's head back to the school. And I was motivated by those simple words. He drove behind me for about 1,200 meters until we made it past Waverly Village again. People were still sitting at their front door to criticize. Some were grown-ups and some were kids. But I blocked them out as I sprinted to the school to hear Coach say, good job, Stevie. I never got as fast as anyone in the group. I did not have the talent, but I kept going every day. I felt like a winner. There were other guys who were faster than me, had better endurance, but the next week, the next month, they quit. What sets disciplined people apart? What gives them the capacity to get past distractions and focus on the task at hand? Why do some people win over and over again? What's in their DNA to not settle and never let good be good enough? Since 2014, my daughter Creanne McBride has gone from shy, uncoordinated, non-athletic 9-year-old to a humble yet outspoken track juggernaut. She has been dominant in her age group since 2015. She also excels in other endeavors. In activities where she is not elite, she does not quit. The key to becoming a winner is staying the course. You believe on the other side is victory. Winners do not stop at one victory or even at a loss. Winners return to the starting line to do it again and again. What it takes to win is the same at any age, at any level, any endeavor. In 2018, a few days before Creanne's epic battle against Shael Johnson, daughter of Chad Ochocinco Johnson, Miles Split published an article titled Shael Johnson and Creanne McBride, a rivalry that's just beginning. The next day they published another article, Creanne McBride gets redemption in the 1,500 meters. 2 days later they wrote, Creanne McBride wins the 3,000 meters, 6 seconds shy of the record. As a parent and the #1 track dad, and as a fan, I could not have been prouder. As a teacher and student of winners, I was intrigued by her will for victory. I know the principles used to shape her winning attitude, but I wanted to hear her. Introducing Creanne McBride in her own words, narrated by Steve McBride. Chapter 1. Don't pursue happiness, create it. Creanne McBride. Accept the challenge so you can feel the exhilaration of victory. August 2018, after winning gold in the 1,500 meters at the 2018 AAU Junior Olympics, I raised my hands in victory, then fell to my knees. I beat Shael Johnson, the toughest competitor of any age group. At age 13, she had run at 2:12 in the 800 meters and 55 seconds in the 400. Some college athletes cannot run that fast. She has heart, one of the commentators said of her. She is going to win. She is virtually impossible to beat. Make the impossible possible. Setting goals are the first step to overcoming a challenge. Each year I set high goals, then work hard to achieve them. I had just achieved the one goal I worked the hardest for, a rivalry that's just beginning. The previous year, 2017, Shael Johnson beat me in the 1500 by less than half a second. She also beat me in the 800. It's not a rivalry until both competitors have won. My dad told me before the victory, this is not 2017. You can beat her, but you will bleed to do it. After my victory, the headlines read, Creanne McBride gets redemption. However, I felt relief, not redemption. For those few moments on the podium, I thought not of a rivalry, not of the previous year. I thought of how it all started. Without rain, there would be no rainbows. Softball was my first love, but our 2015 softball season rained out. It was 3 weeks into the track season, my mom signed me up. Since I had never run track before, we had to figure out which events was my best, so I practiced all of them. Adversity caused some people to break, and others to break records. In my first few practices, I finished last. I was uncoordinated and lacked technique. Coach Datrin of the Manor Hawks Track Club had to train me with coordination rules. My first meet, I was crushed in every event by one of the national qualifiers from 2014. I wasn't discouraged. My dad said to me, you love to run, well, you have to love to win. Otherwise, you are out there just to sweat. Pass the people in front of you if you want to be number one. Simple words that made it all make sense. Outrun everybody else. You have to pass the people in front of you to be number one. I kept practicing hard. I started to compete. I wanted to win every race, every lap, the first 200, the first 100, and the 50. I ran with reckless abandonment. Every race was a guts race. I could not wait to win. I could not wait to be number one. Our goals are often found in our challenges to overcome or the desires we long to fulfill. Make a list of the challenges you want to overcome. And then go achieve them. Discipline is the refining fire by which talent becomes ability. My first victory came at the 2015 McNeil track meet. On the day of the meet, the temperature was about 100 degrees. My dad said he was hot, but I was on fire. And the 400 meters earlier that morning, I lost to the national qualifier by half a step. In all previous meets, she beat me by more than 25 meters. I was there to compete. I wanted to win. Get out front and stay out front. That's what my mom taught me. Dig in. I had a game plan and a strategy for my next two races, the 800 and the 15. As the weather conditions got hotter and time dragged on, the advantage was mine. At 1 p.m., the 800 was about to start. On your mark, get set, pow! Here's the sound. My strategy was to make it two of the most grueling laps any of the runners had ever run. 50 meters. The national qualifier was leading the pack as usual. At the end of the first 100 meters, she was out front, but I was on her tail. 200 meters, she was 20 ahead of the pack and 10 ahead of me. Make it a guts race. Who wants it more? I could hear my parents on the other side yelling, "Run, Crean!" She pulled away a bit, creating a 15-meter gap, but I was in hot pursuit. I remember she beat me by one step in the 400 earlier. This time, after the first lap, I felt like I was out for a stroll. I believe I could catch her whenever I wanted to. I had to be tactical and disciplined. I waited to pick my mark. I stuck with my strategy. At 450 meters, I picked up the pace. I had to close the gap. 300 meters to the finish line and closing. She was 10 meters ahead of me. I steadied the pace. I did not want to alert her. 200 meters to go. 150, 100, and falling. Then at 80 meters, I hit my mark. I felt like someone shot me out of a cannon. I went into an all-out sprint with my arms going from head to hip and legs pumping. I closed the gap in 2 seconds. Pass the person in front of you. The last 10 meters, I was dead even with her. I did not blink as I went past her to win the first time. In my head, Katy Perry sang, "I got the eye of the tiger. You're gonna hear me roar." The feeling of victory is like completing a tightrope walk without a safety net. Exhilarating, but you only feel it for a little while. So you compete again to get it back. Later that day, I won again in the 1500. I beat the closest person to me by nearly 300 meters and earned the nickname Special K, given to me by Coach Carmen Chiara of the Chiara Track Club. I worked on my coordination and getting an early lead in races so I would not have to come from behind. I started to win. List some simple things that you can improve on to overcome your challenges. Crean's 2015 lists were: number 1, her coordination; number 2, hesitation at the start line; and number 3, sticking to the race plan; and 4, she had to be competitive. She had to overcome being a nice person. She had to learn that you can be friends afterwards and before, but on the track, it is a dog fight. And she had to get past that in order to be competitive. Hopefully you'll tune in next time for the rest of the story on what it takes to become a winner in less than 11 minutes. Introducing Crean McBride.